Alright, hello everyone. So, we're going to be talking about Nesara Gesara and what it means to return to constitutional law. Um, so, um, Good girl. So, here we go. So first, before I begin, I just want to say that, of course, everything that I do on this channel has to do with my novel. So, everything that I'm speaking about will, in some way, some shape, or form, appear in there. So, or around the subject. So, first, when did everything get messed up? Everything got messed up with the Organic Act of 1871. And this basically created the incorporated territory of Washington, D.C. So D.C. is, not a part of the United States. It's kind of like the Vatican and what's the other one? London. And they kind of form three city-states: spiritual, military, and banking. DC is the military. Okay, so the Organic Act began that process. And then, if you look back, I believe it was the election of 1876. If you look back and you study that election, you will realize that that election had almost the exact same things happen that happened in our last election in 2020. Just go back and study that if you ever get a chance, and you'll realize that it's almost the exact same, with the same controversies and things of that nature. But after the Organic Act of 1871, that's when the corporate United States became. And you know that it's a corporation because of USC code, or United States Code, USC. Only corporations have code. And that is what they actually use to basically take away the Constitution in a way. It's also the reason you have a Social Security card. The Federal Reserve came after that, creating the fiat monetary system that's basically going to plunge and dive everybody down into all debt and everything like that. Because the fiat system is based on debt. And so in a fiat system, the only way that you're successful is if you're in debt, because debt is how money is created. But the fiat system is actually used to rob from the... my cat's doing some funny things. It's actually used to rob from the poor, basically. I mean, no. If you have $1 or $20 or something like that, literally it's nothing. The only thing that's really possession-wise would be land and gold. And so basically, what most fiat currencies do is it robs people of land, because they become so much in debt that they're going to have to foreclose on that property or do something like that. So that process started in 1871. So, and I spoke a little bit about the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve it's privately owned. You can go to any Federal Reserve website and you can see that the government does not. It's not government controlled. It's privately owned. And whoa, are you okay, girl? Yeah, she's okay. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. She jumped and she basically didn't land on what she was trying to land on. But she's okay. See, she's right there. But say hi. She said hi. But so the where was I? The Federal Reserve. It's privately owned, and I talked a little bit about how it created the fiat system in the United States, and the Federal Reserve was something that the Founding Fathers warned us about. But the Republic basically ended after the Civil War. Why after the Civil War? Because America was broke after the Civil War. That really destroyed us, and it broke us, and then the corporation began and took over. In other words, people from Europe bailed us out of our debt, and they own the country now. So, I'm going to give you a website. I don't know if it goes over what I just talked about on that stuff, but I am going to give you a website that you can study, because it's the website that I'm using to I'm going to start asking you these questions. Alright, so these next 3 questions are questions that I'm going to answer all the questions, but on the website they answer these questions, but the next 2 I answered on my own, and I encourage you to think about those last 2 questions. So, first, does the Constitution empower the Supreme Court to judge the constitutionality of federal laws, regulations, and uphold or strike them down as the court sees fit? The answer, no. The powers of the United States Supreme Court are listed in Article 3, Section 2. There is no mention of judging the constitutionality of laws and regulations in Article 3, Section 2. Next question. Does the Constitution prohibit the states from determining the constitutionality of federal laws and regulations and uphold or strike them down as they see fit? The answer, no, the Constitution does not prohibit the states from exercising this power. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution is the judging of laws to be constitutional, or not even addressed. 5. What does the Constitution have to say about the powers not delegated to the United States federal government by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states? For this answer, it's Amendment 10, which states, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. So, and then the next 2 questions. Do you think the drafters would have been more explicit in limiting federal powers? Another way to put it, do you think that the current gargantuan bureaucracy, is what the drafters of the Constitution had in mind? The current, the one that's used presently, is not the Constitution, what the Founding Fathers envisioned. The states should have more powers than the federal government. The Founding Fathers did not want to grow the federal government. The main purpose of the federal government, from what I remember studying the early Constitution, the way how they had it, was that it was to basically negotiate and deal with foreign entities, foreign powers, foreign nations, and disputes between the states. Other than that, so far from, there may be a few limited things that maybe I thought about, but other than that, the federal government shouldn't be, doing vaccine mandates or anything like that. The states could, if they wanted to. And matter of fact, the Supreme Court has actually said that I know that the states can can do vaccine mandates. But then you also have to think about, are there treatment options? Yes, and other possibilities. And the last one, do you think the original 13 states would have ratified the Constitution as written? No, they would not have ratified a big government bureaucracy. For the most part, the federal government should be focused with disputes between the states and foreign nations, just like I was saying before. I guess I kind of jumped ahead on that one. So a return from what I'm thinking this is going to cover, and I've only briefly kind of like looked over this site. I haven't dug down real deep into it yet. But in my opinion, we're already starting to see Nesara Gesara because of audits that are happening. That's a beginning phase. And right now, there's a lot of countries that are buying gold. And gold is the other phase that's supposed to kick in. I've seen the Philippines creating a gold bank. I've seen Poland, Austria, and a few other European nations start creating gold banks. I think Poland or Austria was going to buy like 100 tons of gold or something like that. I can't remember. It was a lot of freaking gold though. So there is all this building up to a new currency that's going to be, I think, introduced within the next 4 to 8 years, somewhere around there. I'm thinking 4. Crypto might be something that's involved, since it kind of has a pretty interesting structure to it, a decentralization to it, because that would weed out the banks, and banks are not good. So that's another thing that I'm seeing. I'm trying to think if there's anything. People are becoming aware of the corruption of governments, and not just our government, but governments around the world. And Nesara Gesara is just not a United States thing. It's Trump's plan, number one. Well, it was more than Trump's plan. It was actually our military leaders. It was their plan. But I have a feeling that it may go back farther than that. I'd have to do a lot more research to it. But basically what this is going to do is it's going to free us in ways that we've never thought before. We're talking about free energy and a whole bunch of other things. We're talking about, less taxation on us, less federal government controlling what we do, which is what those people in DC fear. They want to control, like, every single part of you. Even in their bill that they're trying to pass, and this has actually been on the books for some time. They've had this, just kind of like sitting in the House. They'll do that. They'll write a whole bunch of laws and just decide when they think they should put them in place. But the whole thing about taxing you 10 cents per mile or 20 miles or something like that, that's they've had that there for about since 2004, if not more. So don't let these bureaucracies fool you, because they're controlled. Then they have a big say in who's a part of the actual elected government, and how they're operated. Actually, probably a lot of the corruption kind of goes that way. I mean, yeah, basically that's what it is. But I'm going to leave it for right there. I'm going to be doing probably another part in a few days. I wasn't even thinking I was going to be speaking for almost 15 minutes today. But you guys have a good one, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And so here's to Nesara Gesara. Let's free the world. Peace.